Be'ezras Hashem Yisbarach Yom Chamishi the Parshas Chukas Shnas Tovshin Ayin Zayin Yeshiva Tiferes Avigdor. Yesterday we discussed the prohibition for a person to get involved with wicked Jews. Somebody actually called me today. If they're hearing yesterday's shir, said that they have an aunt who was a grusha, a divorcee, who married a kohen. She wants to know, after that Rambam, he had a lot of questions now. Should she be nice to the aunt? Should she accept gifts from the aunt? Should you invite the aunt? It's a good question. I told her to call her rabbi. I want to bring out, we're trying to bring out a Torah perspective on these matters. That you have to understand, why is it that the tendency of people is to be nice to everybody? There are a number of motivations. If you ask people, why are you nice to wicked people? Know what they're going to tell you, Chanan? We'll ask you. You know about being nice to wicked people. What motivates you, Chanan, to be nice, to want to be nice, to wicked people? You know they're wicked people.
No, for a number of reasons.
Okay? Tell me clearly one at a time. Number one.
Maybe I have an influence on them. Maybe I could, have some sort of influence on them and change their...
Well, Chanan says he's hoping that if he's nice to them, maybe they'll turn around. Maybe they'll reject their wicked ways.
Or at least move on food. And the thing is, because the person likes to get the acknowledgement too, so I like, so when
Now Chanan is getting closer to the emes. He said a human being likes to get acknowledged. He likes to get recognition. So if a person can't get recognition from very frum people, so they may say, no, you're not acting anything special. So you go to wicked people and you act nice to wicked people, and they say, oh, wow, this frum man is such a nice man. Nah, you feel good. Now I'll tell you what the core of the issue is. The motivation for most people to be nice to others has nothing to do with Hashem or Hashem's will or the Torah. It has to do with their own will. I like my grandmother. She buys me birthday presents. She gives me tickets to Eretz Yisroel. Maybe she'll buy me a car if I'm very nice to her. Maybe if I'm nice to my cousins, they'll give me things. If not things, they'll give me respect. That can't be the motivation. Motivation has to be, it's either the will of Hashem or it's not the will of Hashem. A person has to approach even good behavior with a question. Is this the will of Hashem or not? And if a person is nice to his relatives or to others who are wicked people, and it's not the Ratzon of Hashem, you know what that means? That act is not a nice thing. It's a bad thing. Now, maybe if you're in the business of kiruv, maybe, and you're trying to bring people back to Yiddishkeit, perhaps there is a dispensation. If you're not in the business of kiruv, you just hope maybe they'll become a kurev. I think that's pretty much false hopes. It's not realistic. Now, let me explain you, even when you're doing kiruv, because I remember having this question when I was into kiruv. I would invite people that were secular people, and I would sit down and talk to them. And they would like to tell me, you know, Rabbi, I don't keep the mitzvahs. And at first, I didn't realize what they were trying to get. You know what they wanted to get? They wanted to get from me what I wanted to get from them. They wanted to get acknowledgement and respect. They wanted to get an okay from me. You're not such a bad guy, even if you don't keep Shabbos, even if you don't keep kosher. My grandfather made it very clear to me, you can never do that. You have to say to them absolutely clearly, you should know that your conduct and your behavior and your lifestyle is very not okay. It's not acceptable. It's completely against the Torah. I'll never forget engaging in being makarev a very respectable lawyer, and he had one problem. I found out after a while he was married to a shik's, and he wanted to know, what do I think about it? I said, I think it's a very malodorous situation, a very smelly diapers. However, I'm not a judge. I'm not going to judge you. I'm going to leave that to Hashem. But never entertain the thought that I acquiesce and I tell you it's okay to do this. As there was a fellow who was a Talmud of mine, was married to a shiksa, and I told him it's a no-go, you gotta change, you gotta get rid of her. And he said, I love her. I said, I don't care what you do, your love is misplaced. So he went to a rabbi, an Orthodox rabbi, a Telzer Musmach. But he was a city Rav. They went to have a meeting with him. And the rabbi said, and what about Shalom Bayit? Doesn't Rabbi Brog believe in Shalom Bayit? You know, a home and peace in the home is in the highest ideals. But Rabbi Brog said it's totally treif. He's a little bit extreme. Or maybe he said a lot extreme. But it came back to me. I told him, I'm not mekabel that the rabbi says such a thing. To say such a thing, he would have to have lost his mind totally. He would have had to become mentally, completely incapacitated. Because when a guy is married to a Jew or a Jew to a guy, there's no bayit. There is no home whatsoever. It's the same equivalent of a guy saying, calling the rabbi up, Rabbi, I have shlom bayit problems. How old is he? He's old. In dog years, he's 15 years old. What's the problem? He sheds. He's starting to shed. Shed what? Oh, he's a kali. He's shedding his hair all over the house. How should I deal with the problem? The rabbi said, what are you calling for? He said, oh, that's the man in my life. This kali of mine means everything to me. Now, what the rabbi told him, that's true, that's shalom bayit issues. I think you should get some tapes on how to have shalom bayis in your house. That would be brutal. That's not a bias. But there are people that believe this. You don't want to destroy a nice family. So many people are not getting along, and it's not easy. I understand where people are coming from, don't get me wrong. And it wasn't always convenient. I remember the first time I ever dealt with this. I called my grandfather and said, Zayda, what do I tell the guy? It was a couple that was living, they weren't observing mitzvahs, they weren't observing Taras HaMishpacha. I said to my Zayda, do I have to tell them about it? Can I avoid the subject? If they ask me, you must tell them. You have to tell them it's absolutely forbidden. I said, sure, I can. Tell the guy you'll help him go step by step to get there. It's very difficult to follow the dictates of the Torah when according to the parameters of the world, that's what nice means, and now according to the parameters of the world, you're being not nice. You're not being understanding, you're not being forgiving, you're not being all the nonsense. I told the person, if you're not keeping Shabbos, that's one of the worst averas. Now, another reason why people are nice to Rishayim, very common in organizations, because they're hoping to milk the rich people. They have people with deep pockets, and they're generous, so they're hoping to get financial aid from them. Big problem. Now, one of the biggest areas where this is a problem is in Eretz Yisroel. Because in Eretz Yisroel, the government is a government of Rishayim. Whether you're from the left or you're from the right. Now, there are many people who falsely believe at the right, you may deal with them. Because they're only Rishayim L'Te'avim. They believe in Hashem. They're Rishayim because of the Yetzer Hara. They just can't control themselves. As opposed to the left, that's Rishayim L'Hachas. They're intentional Rishayim. And the answer is that's a silly goose, shtickle Torah, because the right and the left doesn't believe and don't accept the principles of Judaism, and they all want together to uproot Torah mitzvahs. Some want to uproot it totally, and some want to have some vestiges of tradition remaining. But they want to turn the country into a country like all other countries, free of the burden of Torah mitzvahs. That's a very important thing to know and not to make this mistake. Now, just because somebody is a Rasha doesn't mean he's not a nice person. Just because a person's a Rasha doesn't mean he's not soft-spoken. Just because a person's a Rasha doesn't mean he's not generous. But if a person is against Hashem, that's a rishis. I don't care if it's your brother. You know how many times I've heard from people who became from, they say, I have a very close relationship with my brother. I said, your brother from? No. He's against from. But me and him have a language. We talk on the phone. I said, what do you talk about? Sports, business, life, the kids. I said, that's a very, very sick relationship. Now, but we grew up together. I said, you know what it means you grew up? You never became totally from. You never aligned yourself with Hashem. If you can do that when you have a brother whose whole life is a representation of anti-Hashem, then you have to know, and you're friendly with him, and you're close to him, and you enjoy him. You go walks together, you go on vacations together, you like going fishing together, whatever you like, whatever nonsense you have. You have to know you have never aligned yourself with HaKadosh Baruch Hu's will. And this is the difficulty if you don't do things al pi the Torah. And someday Hashem's going to ask you, I don't understand you. How did you talk to that person? How did you call your cousin? You knew he was against Hashem. He belittled Yiddishkeit. He had no respect for it. He didn't want any of it. He didn't ask you how to become from. He may have even thrown in snide remarks, as most of them do. So, question is, Hashem will say, why did you align yourself with him? I'm going to share with you a story. A young woman calls me up. She has one brother. And her brother is getting married to a non-Jewish woman. And they're making a big shindig. And her parents expect her to go to the wedding, to participate. After all, family is the biggest mitzvah in the Torah. Even if you don't believe in the Torah, but you believe in family. And a moment of joy, a chasana, you must come to the wedding. The lady calls me up, can I go? She lived over there, her husband and her had moved to this neighborhood, part of this community. They don't live anymore, years ago, they lived in Yisroel. And this was the question. I said, you can't go to the wedding. I said, there's nothing, there's great chilul Hashem if you go to that wedding. If you participate in a wedding like that, tremendous chilul Hashem. She says, I love Hashem. She tells me. I said, if you're contemplating going to that wedding, I don't know how you can love Hashem. And if you go to the wedding, you certainly don't love Hashem. She said, why not? I said, do you love your husband? Yes. Does your husband love you? Yes. Let's say you had somebody who was your arch enemy. They were trying to destroy your life. And you discovered that your friend, your husband, was friendly with that fellow. And when you confronted him and said, what are you doing? He said, oh, I love you, honey. I love you. It's got nothing to do with you. Me and him, we just get along. I enjoy his company. But his whole thing is to get me. He's trying to destroy me and undermine me. Nah, you don't get so carried away. He's not trying to do that. He's not such a kind of person. We have a great time together. I play golf with him, tennis. We do get a couple drinks. Like a brewskis. What are they talking about? He's not that kind of guy. I told the lady, what would there be an indication of? No indication of? That your husband has very little love for you. She said, and she lost it. She said, are you telling me that I became from and I don't love Hashem with all my heart and all my soul? She said, that's what I'm saying. I said, I don't either. Don't take it personally. I'm not married. I'm not going to any Shegets' weddings. I said, it's a lifetime of work to love Hashem with all your heart and all your soul. She slammed the phone down to me. A little while later, she calls him back. Said, you like to discuss this? And I explained it to her again and tried to get it through. She's very upset. I said, it's just a contradiction. You can't love Hashem. And then I said, look what you're doing here. You're going to a wedding. We call a wedding Kiddushin, holy matrimony. I said, they're taking a holy matrimony. They're making an act of desecration. They're taking the holy matrimony. It's like it's the same thing like marrying a monkey. Imagine if a woman liked a monkey. She loved these little cute little monkeys. And she made a wedding ceremony. Is that a chil? Of course it's a chil. A Jew and a goy don't mix. There's no holy matrimony there. It's unholy matrimony. And you're going to go, you're going to offer him toasts, you're going to offer drinks, you're going to drink at this thing. You're going to be among people who are laughing it up, dancing, music, all they're celebrating a desecration of holy matrimony of Hashem in Hashem's presence. And you're going to be there and tell Hashem, I love you with all my heart and all my soul. That makes sense? She said, something's wrong with the picture. I said, no, I'm just giving it to you straight up. I want to make you aware of what it is. And this is what it is. When you are meschaber with a Russian, you think a Russian is going to save you? You think the Israeli government, these Rishoyim, are going to help you and save you? You don't think the help comes from Hashem? You believe Taka that the Israeli government is going to help you? and you're nice to them. You hear the things these guys say in the Knesset. Some of these guys sound like such evil, wicked people. Like very similar to the Arabs, the leftists, and a lot of the rightists. They don't have no appreciation for any Dvarim Shabbat. And that's what you have to understand, is you have to look at being nice through the eyes of Hashem. The person who desecrates Hashem with his life doesn't have to have vampire teeth and wearing a mask of horns coming out of his thing with a tail saying, I am out to get Hashem. No, you don't have to say that. You can be dressed in a very nice suit, wearing shorts, and Shabbos. He's even saying Good Shabbos that people walk by his yard. Good Shabbos. These the rabbis walk by, Good Shabbos. What are you doing, sir? Don't you know Shabbos today? Shabbos today. Why are you doing this? Oh, I don't keep Shabbos. No, but it's still Shabbos. It's a Jewish neighborhood. People don't realize it. Let me share with you a Gemara and an explanation from the Brisker Rav. The Gemara in Gittin says as follows: Tana Rabbana, Ma'isa b'Rabbi Yehoshua ben Chananya. There's a story with Rabbi Yehoshua ben Chananya. He went to a large city in Rome, and he was told when he came there, there's a young Jewish child in jail, in captivity. And they want to redeem him. They want to wait for somebody to come and pay cash to have him redeemed. Or they're going to sell him. So he went to the door of the jail and he calls out to the Jewish child. And he says to the Jewish child as follows: Mi nosan lemeshisa Yaakov. Who has brought about the downtroddeness of Yaakov? Who made the Jewish nation so downtrodden that they should end up with their children in jail being sold to Goy? What's up, Shem? The Yisroel, the Boizism, and the Jewish nation became totally denigrated. Now, that happens to be the first part of the pasuk. Know what the kid answered? The kid answered the second part of the pasuk. He said, Haloi Hashem, is it not Hashem? Zu chatanuloi, this Hashem that we sinned against him. V'loi avu b'drachav holich, we didn't desire to go in his ways. V'loi shamu b'tayrasai, and we didn't listen to his Torah. Omar, Rabbi Yehoshua ben Chananya heard him give that answer, and he said, Muftachani boy, I'm certain about him. Shemayra HaRav Yisroel, he's going to be a tremendous rabbi, tremendous leader, tremendous instructor in Klal Yisrael. So Brisker Rav asked the question, what excited Rabbi Yehoshua ben Chananya? Was it the fact that the kid knew the second half of the pasuk? So he's quoted the second half of the pasuk. Well, how did he see he's going to be a Meira HaRav Yisroel? And he explained. In the Gemara before that it says that in Yerushalayim there were Ashirim, very wealthy people, who were able to support the whole city for many years if they be besieged. But there was a group of Jews called Bar Yonim, and these people wanted to fight. They wanted the Jews to go to fight. They believed in the might of the Jew. Self-defense. No sheep over here. We are lions. And the Rabbanan said, no, we don't fight. We'll wait out the siege. So what did these Bar Yonim do? They went and they burned all of the storehouses of food. And they were forced to go to war. After the Churban Yerushalayim, The Brisker Rav says everybody was having a discussion. Why did the Romans win? What's the reason the Romans won the war? Some were saying, you know why? Because the Jews didn't have the morale to fight. They didn't have the fighting spirit. They lacked the fighting spirit. Some say, no, because they burned all the storehouses of food, and they were weak physically, and they couldn't fight. They couldn't put up a fight. And everybody was discussing their opinions, what caused the Churban. Was it the rabbis who stopped them from the war? Was it the toughs who said to go to war? It was all kind of opinions. However, that child, says the Brisker Rav, when he said to him, what brought the downfall of Klal Yisrael? He didn't open up his mouth and say the stupidity that the people around him were saying. He didn't offer up any of the opinions of the fools around him. You know what he said? Haloy Hashem zu chatanuloi. It's Hashem because we sinned against him. And that's why Yerushalayim was destroyed. So the Brisker Rav, in such a situation, whenever there's a tragedy, everybody offers an opinion. Every bubby, every zaidi, every aunt, every uncle, every young tippish, old tippish, everybody offers up the opinion. No. And this child is able to ignore all the opinions and say, you want to know what the reality is? Allah Hashem zu chatanulay, and we didn't listen to his Torah. Now, even to answer the second half of the pasuk, when there are so many opinions running around the street, to be able to state clearly the opinion of the Torah, that's a big accomplishment. Brisker Rav said that man was going to be a Moira HaRav Yisroel, that child. You know why? Because he understood that the only way to view the world is through the glasses of the Torah, through the prism of the Torah, through the hashkaf of the Torah. And if you look at the world through the hashkaf, the window of the Torah, you then see the world in all its reality. But the way all the yatzmachs, in the Jewish newspapers, in the Frum magazines, whatever it's called, doesn't make a difference. The Family magazine, the Nation magazine, the Jewish press, the Jewish, that doesn't make a difference. You offer up opinions, and you say it's nice to be this, nice to be that. You give opinions that are not even based in Torah. Nothing to do with Torah. It came out of someone's indigestion that he had for breakfast. He had bad breakfast, stomach is indigested. Now, what is he writing? He sits down to write for the paper. So know what he does? So let me think. Oh, I'm going to write this. What does it do with Torah? He read it in a psychology book, maybe, and he regurgitates it into the Jewish paper. That's Torah. That's vomit. That's not called Torah. So Brisker Rav said, people who get their das Torah from the tumult that's going around, from the newspapers, and they make chiluk between certain type of frum and other type of, certain type of fry and other type of fry, less fry, more fry, less this, and you have to know how to deal, you have to be this, you have to be that, you have to be thankful. One of the great courses that people have in Eretz Yisrael today is unbelievable. That Lamaisa, know what everybody says, you got to be thankful to the Tziyah. Lamaisa, you got to be thankful to the Tziyah. You know why? Why? What do you think they say?
Well, you have to be nice to
thankful, appreciative,
this is our country.
because Lamaisa, they gave us a country. They gave us a country. You know? If the Tzionim wouldn't have taken over, if the Tzionim wouldn't have pick up the Bix, wouldn't have picked up the rifle, wouldn't have got a nuclear bomb, We've been to sea. So you have to thank the Sionim. You want to know something? This is such kfira, and such shtus, and such maises sota to fool you. Are you out of your mind? You think that a guy, Ben Gurion, who had a terrible barber, couldn't get a decent haircut, and when he settled down at the end of his life, he became a pig farmer in State Booker. That's what he became. He raised pigs. That's what he did. That's the people had Chukas all his life, pigs. So he figured at the end of his life, he's going to raise pigs. That's what he did. They thought they were cute, they were pink. He liked the color pink. No. You think this is what I'm called? You know how many people say, if not for the army today, you'd never be able to daven in Cave Rachel. You go to Cave Rachel, the soldiers there, they have these turrets, they have these towers. It looks, serious matzah. Looks good. We'll drive into Cave Rachel. Guy comes out of a little tower. Some kid about 18 years old walks over to the car, looks at him. Mm-hmm. Go. This is what you call it. Baruch Samachpela. You wouldn't have done Avram Avinu. Baruch Hashem v'tzionu. You know what it is? You could never go to Kever Yosef and Shechem. You couldn't go to any place else in Yisroel. No, people like say that Torah don't believe in the Torah. That means you don't believe in schar v'einish. You don't believe in. You're practical. It means you only look at the world through Goyish eyes. And when you look at the world through Goyish eyes, that's what you see. This is not my Torah. This is Torah I heard in Brisk, and all the Briskers say this over and over and over. I heard of my grandfather too, Baruch Hashem. I'm afraid if I wouldn't have heard of my grandfather, I might have said, the Briskers extremists and not so. But that's how it is, it's amazing. People today, or from people, Shomer Torah mitzvahs, they read Shema, they daven every day, they push it, get drawn after the Tzionim, and push it. All they want to do is uproot Yiddishkeit. They want to make modernized Judaism. They don't like the fact that so many people are sitting and learning. They really detest that. They don't believe in it, they don't want it, they don't value it. They want a few handful for the museum. Like they have a Yad Vashem museum, they want to have a few handful in the Kollel to be a Kollel museum, to say how Jews once upon a time lived. That's what they want. And people go after them, people think, they could answer our problems. They could resolve issues. As the Brisker Rav said, the only thing their involvement does is create issues. And it makes problems unsolvable. It's a very important lesson. You can't understand. We can't understand today how people at one point worshipped Avodah Zarah. So you can't understand today either how people worship these people. That's how it is. And this is why we have to understand that we have to be bonded with the Rebbeinu Shalom. Va'ani kirvas Elokim li toiv. The Ramchal writes, the purpose we come to this world for is to become karoiv to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to become a chuber, to become a kusher, to become one with Hashem Echad. Ato Echad, the Shimcha Echad, the Mika Amcha Yisroel Goy Echad Baretz. And anything that doesn't represent Hashem breaks that unity, destroys that unity, desecrates that unity, and undermines the sole purpose of this world, and it ruins yourself. Hashem Yishmereinu, Hashem should help us from His enemies. Hashem should help us align ourselves with Him, not to go against Him, and not to fall into this trap of rational, common sense thinking.